A marine biologist needs to fill a 100-gallon aquarium with 2% salt water. They have a tank of 5% salt water and a tank of fresh water, which is 0% salt. How much water should they use from each tank to fill the aquarium with 2% salt water? We have to start with our let statements, and in this case they ask how much water should they use from each tank. And the tanks that they can use are the 5% salt water and the fresh water. So let's let the amount of 5% salt water be X, and let's let the amount of fresh water be Y. And then we're going to set up our table. Just like before, we'll label the columns solution, concentration, and ingredient. And the relationship between these quantities is solution times concentration equals ingredient. We can label our rows now. The two things that the marine biologist starts with are a tank of 5% salt water, so 5% salt water, and then fresh water. And they want to end up, when they mix them, with 2% salt water in the aquarium. So that's how we'll label each of the rows. Let's try to fill in the table. The amount of 5% saltwater solution that they're going to add has to be X, and the amount of fresh water is Y. And if we look in the problem, the amount of 2% salt water that they want is 100 gallons. Next, we fill in the concentrations. 5% as a decimal is 0.05. The fresh water, remember, that doesn't contain any salt. It's 0% salt, so that's just 0. You could write 0.00, but it doesn't matter. It's still 0. And then the 2% salt water, 2% is 0.02. Now to get the ingredients, we have to multiply across. In the first row, X times 0.05 is 0.05X. In the second row, Y times 0 is just 0. And in the third row, 100 times 0.02 is just 2. Now we need to write out our system of equations so that we can solve for X and Y. From the first column, we get X plus Y equals 100. And from the last column, we have 0.05X plus 0, we don't even need to put plus 0 because that's nothing, equals 2. And we're going to solve this kind of differently. Before, we would take the first equation and isolate x or y, but if you notice, the second equation only has an x in it. We can solve that for x by dividing both sides by 0.05. If we divide both sides of that equation by 0.05, we'll end up with x on the left-hand side, and 2 divided by 0.05 is 40. So we know that x is 40. That represented the amount of 5% salt water, and this is measured in gallons. So that's going to be 40 gallons. We need to figure out how much fresh water they need to use, but if they need 100 gallons in total, and 40 of those have to be the salt water, that leaves 60. 100 minus 40 is 60 gallons for the fresh water. Or we can substitute x equals 40 into the other equation. We have x plus y equals 100. We learned that x was 40. 40 plus y equals 100. And if we subtract 40 from both sides, we get y equals 60. Y equals 60 gallons. So to answer the question, how much water should they use from each tank? They should use 40 gallons of the 5% salt water and 60 gallons of fresh water. And that right there is our final answer.